This is CBC Late Night News.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Shannon Martin. Tonight, the latest COVID variant of concern has now been detected here in Ontario. 2 cases of Omicron confirmed so far. I'll speak to one of the province's top medical experts in a moment about what it could mean for your holiday plans next month. But first, Rafi Boudjikanian begins our coverage tonight about what we know about those 2 confirmed cases in Ottawa.
Canada's first known cases of the Omicron variant, 2 travelers who arrived from Nigeria, currently self-isolating. Now, Ottawa Public Health is asking anyone who's recently been to some countries in Africa and their close contacts to self-isolate and seek testing even if they don't have symptoms. For those at Ottawa's airport, not reassuring.
And they don't even know very much about this variant. This is the frightening thing.
Early data suggests Omicron could be more transmissible and might be better at evading immunity acquired by earlier infections or vaccines, but it's far too early to tell.
While it's important not to underreact to this news, it's also important not to overreact because we still don't have a lot of information about whether this variant actually is more dangerous than the variants that we've already dealt with.
The Public Health Agency of Canada says it has monitoring in place to detect new coronavirus variants, working closely with provinces, and so far, Omicron has not proven difficult to detect.
One good thing about this variant, it appears that the standard PCR tests can actually pick up a marker of this variant.
This is just 2 days after Canada announced a ban on travel from countries in southern Africa. Experts say the best case scenario is that such restrictions buy time.
Focused travel restrictions are not really going to be the most helpful tool in a situation like this, especially when there is more widespread infection globally, which is exactly what we're seeing.
An important strategy for this or any new variant lies beyond Canada's borders, according to World Health Organization advisor Dr. Peter Singer on Rosemary Barton Live.
This is a wake-up call to vaccinate the world, and frankly, we've had a lot of wake-up calls, and we should stop sleeping through the alarm.
Whatever impact Omicron has will likely become clear as winter drives more activity indoors, and with COVID cases in Canada already rising. Rafi Boudjikanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
Dr. Peter Jüni joins us now. He's the scientific director of the Ontario COVID-19 Science Advisory Table. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You know, a lot of this information is just coming in, so there are a lot of questions. Can you tell us what are some of the things you're watching out for?
Yeah, I think the first thing to watch out for is what actually happened in South Africa, and we need to be aware of that this variant, Omicron, took over from Delta within roughly 4 weeks. That's very fast. You know, as a comparison, it took Delta roughly 3 to 4 months to take over from Alpha here in Ontario. So this is very fast what Omicron does now. Around November 10th, that's what we're seeing now in growth curves. It was likely already at about 20% in South Africa. This means that it probably has spread in the continent. We simply don't know that. Why? Because most African countries do not have a surveillance system. So we're actually having some sort of a blind flight. And we need to be aware of that now. So we need just to act under the assumption that people, travelers from African countries could actually be infected with Omicron, and we need to act fast now. Luckily, reactions from the WHO and, you know, from actually everybody worldwide was very fast for once, but still we will struggle to keep ahead and basically be able to keep this under control.
Right. We know about 86% of people in Ontario ages 12 years and older are fully vaccinated. Do you think we're well protected here, or is there concern this could be vaccine resistant?
Oh, it's a real challenge. You know, this variant has advantages on 2 fronts. One is it's based on the mutations we're seeing, and that's also the reality in South Africa. more transmissible, but it also evades the immune system. And it doesn't matter now, whether you are immune because you were infected or immune because you were vaccinated. There is a challenge there too. And we're not able yet to disentangle, these two effects, how much each of them actually contributes. I think one aspect which is important just to realize is while we understand already that the virus has a clear advantage regarding transmission and evading the immune system, we do not know how all of this translates into hospital admissions and ICU admissions. And only in the next few weeks we will start to understand whether the challenges ahead there are similar to the challenges we had with the previous variants, or whether this will be changing. The point is, everything we've done so far really quite well. We need to keep doing that. So this really means you need to get vaccinated if you haven't been so far. If you are already eligible for a third dose, get your third dose immediately, because what we need is the highest possible immunity in the population. And apart from that, everything else is then the public health measures that we know. So think of the contacts, the social contacts you're having, be a bit selective there, reconsider traveling, that's one of the other aspects. Make sure you wear the best possible mask and that this mask really fits well. Make sure that ventilation is optimal, that you sometimes filter the air with HEPA filters, and keep going with hand hygiene. That's the stuff that we need to do. And what we need just to ensure now is to delay dominance of these variants as long as we can. My wish would be that we would make it to about 8 weeks, that we can delay dominance of these variants, until the new year or longer.
Right. So Ottawa has brought in these travel bans. There's been some debate about how effective those kinds of bans are, but for people watching tonight, knowing the holidays are getting closer, do you think we could see more public health restrictions coming our way?
Yeah, it is an issue. We need to be aware of that. What we will see now during the forthcoming days is cases of Omicron just popping up here and there. It already has happened now, and this will continue. And we need to react because of the increased transmission and the potential for dominance here also in Ontario. And that will be certainly a topic to come. Right now, it's really just about doing the same that we've done during the last few months, just with a little bit more discipline, with a little bit more stringency.
Right. The news of this variant arriving in Canada also comes on a night when we're seeing the highest case count of COVID in the province since May 30th. What do you make of that?
We have a lot of variation in the province. We need to be aware of that. The good news is that those places that historically struggled don't struggle right now. For instance, Peel. That's great news. But some of the places really just need to reconsider and probably will need to impose more restrictions to get things under control. I'm thinking of places such as Algoma.
Okay, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. I know we'll probably be talking soon as we continue to watch this develop. That's Dr. Peter Jüni. He's joining us in Toronto tonight.
Thanks for having me.
As we just mentioned, the province reporting the highest number of daily cases since May 30th and the highest in the pandemic's fourth wave. There were 964 new cases today. Provincial data showing that 129 were in Toronto, 86 were in Windsor, Essex, and 81 in the Simcoe-Muskoka region. The province wrapped up the first full weekend where younger kids could go to vaccine clinics. The City of Toronto says more than 6,100 kids got their first dose. To date, nearly 50,000 appointments have been made available for children ages 5 to 11. That's from November 25th to December 11th. Meantime, a COVID outbreak at an elementary school in the St. Clair West neighborhood of Toronto means kids are switching to remote learning starting tomorrow. McMurrick Junior Public School will be closed while Toronto Public Health investigates. This comes after TPH declared outbreaks at 3 other Toronto schools. City staff are now following contact tracing protocols. They're asking school communities to pay close attention to symptoms, stay home if sick, and continue following masking and social distancing measures. Gas prices dropped 11 cents today. It's something experts were expecting as fears of the new variant impacts world markets. The president of Canadians for Affordable Energy said earlier this week the national average price would drop to about $1.32 per liter. Prices may hold tomorrow and Tuesday, but are expected to begin rising again midweek. This is the fastest drop in gas prices in nearly 13 years. We have a troubling new report to tell you about tonight. 58 women and girls were killed in Ontario last year. That's 50% more than the year before. As Samantha Beattie reports, advocates say it is unacceptable. They're demanding meaningful action from all three levels of government.
3-year-old Bernice Wamale was poisoned. Julia Ferguson fatally stabbed. Kathleen Hatcher died of life-threatening injuries, her son charged with second-degree murder. Those are just 3 of 58 women and girls killed in the province this past year. That's according to a new report by the Ontario Association of Interval and Transition Housing and the University of Guelph.
We're very concerned that we're seeing this increase, because we're in the midst still of the pandemic. We have many compounding factors. We know that survivors are not safe at home.
Ham says violence against women has become more severe in the pandemic.
With the economy and job loss, with the lack of access to childcare, with the affordable housing crisis. All of these pieces play a role. And we're seeing that, right? We're seeing that reflected now in the femicides.
She says perpetrators are usually partners and family members, while victims are disproportionately Indigenous, Black, and women of color and over the age of 55.
I have to say, I wept. 58 women, including a 3-year-old girl. 3 years old. Every year it's devastating when you read the femicide list. And what's also angering and makes me want to rage is that what we know about femicide, what we know about intimate partner violence that leads to murder.
In a throne speech this week, the federal government committed to addressing violence against women in its next budget.
During the pandemic, we have also seen an unacceptable rise in violence against women and girls. The government is committed to moving forward with a 10-year national action plan on gender-based violence.
You have to listen to survivors. Too often, survivors will say, this is going to happen. I'm going to be killed, or my child will be killed, or I'm really scared about them hurting my family.
And she says all levels of government need to better fund services so women can get help before it's too late. Samantha Beattie, CBC News, Toronto.
The Ministry of Labour is investigating the death of a construction worker. He was killed doing GO Train track repairs.
There was an incident involving a contract worker that was doing some construction on the Lakeshore East corridor, and that resulted in a fatality. Very tragic circumstances.
Police say the 41-year-old man was pinned under a rail car last night. It happened just east of the Rouge Hill GO station. The man was part of a team doing repair work on the 117-year-old Rouge Hill Bridge. Metrolink service along the Lakeshore East line will be disrupted until Thursday. Shuttle buses are running between Guildwood and Pickering stations. Staff are expected to be on hand to help commuters. People in Toronto waking up to a snowy scene today as the city got its first snowfall of the season. The OPP saw a jump in collisions due to the wintry weather, and they want to remind commuters to be safe.
You are involved in a collision, make sure that you check yourself out first to ensure that you're safe, and then if safe to do so, move your vehicle to a shoulder or to a off highway to a safer location. And one of the last things, if you do decide that you're going to exit your vehicle on the highway, please just take 1 second, take a look out the window before you open your door. If vehicles are sliding, they could potentially end up sliding into you. So you'd want to be able to just have a quick look before you exit your vehicle.
All important reminders. Here's a live look at Toronto right now. The winter weather travel advisory has been lifted, but another system could bring, you guessed it, some more snow to Toronto. Let's bring in Sophia Cambalia now. I know you were outside. You know, the snow was kind of lovely today. If you had little ones like you do, they're running around having a great time.
Yeah, I saw you guys had some fun in the snow too. There's something so magical about that first snow when the landscape is completely transformed. Many a snowball was thrown today. It was actually the perfect snowball making snow, which doesn't usually happen with a drier, moisture-starved Alberta clipper, but we got those nice fluffy flakes with the temperatures just hovering around the freezing mark as they are right now. It will continue that way into the overnight period. We had some really gusty winds as well, which contributed to the 10+ centimeters some of you had in the downtown core with that easterly wind, about 10 to 15 kilometers an hour, but we'll continue to see into the overnight period as those temperatures dip and the roads could become slick. So important safety messages you heard there. We're still seeing some wraparound lake effect snow, especially off the Georgian and the Huron shores. So a few of you could pick up a couple of extra centimeters. Perfect, because the snow will stay on the ground tomorrow and you can continue some of the tobogganing and the snowman making. It's like we all have to remind ourselves what to do, how to drive in that first snowfall of the year, how to scrape off the car, and what to do when the long-range forecast has more of the same. Overnight feeling like -8, and a few more Alberta clippers will visit us this week. I will tell you where, when, and how in the long range.
Okay, thanks, Sophia.
See you then.
A battle to save part of Toronto's urban forest from a Metrolinx construction plan rages on. Residents of Riverside and Leslieville staging a dramatic protest against the Ontario line. Our Dale Manukduk takes us there.
Neighborhood children place tree branches in a coffin at Jimmy Simpson Park to mourn the death of the tall friends that protect nearby residents.
It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of the mature black locust trees.
The eastern segment of the Ontario line will run along the existing rail corridor that Metrolinx owns. The company says new retaining walls will replace the chain link fence and increase green space by 2,600 square meters.
We're going to protect our big trees as much as we can. Sometimes when you build transit, you do have to take trees down, but our goal is to minimize that as much as possible.
I appreciate everything that you do. Oh, we always have to stop talking in the East End. When the trains go by, we all know about that.
Because we were never asked. We were never asked. While the transit company says they'll forge ahead as planned, community members and local politicians plan to fight.
It's not too late. It's not too late to change. It's a foolish idea to do that.
Metrolinx says they'll replace all trees at a 3-to-1 ratio, but advocates say it's insufficient because the developed urban forestry provides natural green infrastructure.
Managing stormwater, it's providing all of those great carbon sequestration and air quality improvement services, and so the longer it lives, the more it provides.
If we don't look after what we already have, take care of that, and preserve it, we're in deep trouble.
Bury the line! Rally-goers marched the coffin to the Metrolinx community office. The company is currently completing a tree inventory and arborist report. The studies will determine plans for protection and removal of trees. The final arborist report will come early next year. Dale Manukduk, CBC News, Toronto.
To British Columbia next, where people are bracing for more flooding as there was even more rain today, and there is no sign of any let-up. Another system is expected to hit BC in the coming days, and officials are urging residents there to stay vigilant. New evacuation orders were issued today for regions northeast of Vancouver, as well as southeast of the city. Various evacuation alerts are also in effect. 3 highways were closed yesterday in anticipation of further damage. Some areas could see as much as 200 millimeters of rain in the next. Hanukkah celebrations took place across the GTA. For one downtown school, celebrations are the first in person since the start of the pandemic.
We're serving some latkes or levivot. We are serving sufganiyot, and we're going to have a band playing in a minute. And all the parents and kids are just here to celebrate in the spirit of anti-imperialism and social justice.
They celebrated with a children's play, music and food, and in Richmond Hill, dozens gathered for an outdoor Hanukkah celebration. This was at the Chabad Center of Thornhill Woods, where community members got together for the lighting of the menorah. Sophia's back, and I feel like you have it all for us, like cold temps, snow, a little of everything.
Yeah, what a way to work us into the winter season
Yeah.
a little bit early and set the festive scene for all the holiday events out there. Happy holidays, everyone. I alluded to the active pattern that we will have over the short range and even the long range. A few of you will have a few snowy days for this week ahead. Let's start with the morning school drop-off, though. For many, bundle up those kids. I forgot how long it takes to put multiple children in snow pants today. Got a little taste of that. You'll have more of that for Monday morning because it's cold enough for the snow to stick around, -4, feeling like -7. With a cool northwesterly wind. Throughout the day Monday, the sun will stick around. In the early portion of the day, we're hovering just above the freezing mark. The clouds will move in into the afternoon, though, because we have another clipper system coming in throughout the day. Tuesday into Wednesday will be lesser than we saw before with snowfall totals for the most part. Things can change, though. Snow will stick around into Wednesday with some wraparound lake effect again, but a southerly flow in behind this will take our temperatures back to around the seasonal mark. It'll be 3-4 degrees for Tuesday, which is exactly where we should be this time of year. It'll be warm enough, balmy conditions to have rain on Thursday, and if you miss all the snow because it'll be washed away, you can maybe have more of that and colder conditions back into the weekend. A glance at the week, cool overnight lows and cool daytime highs for the start of the work week as well before we head back to seasonal. If you want to see more of what winter has in store, all day tomorrow, Monday, November the 29th, the Weather Network will be hosting our winter forecast, so you'll know exactly when and for how long to have those snow tires on. And right now we are still sitting at some temperatures that will make for some pretty slick roads. Shannon?
Okay, thanks so much. We'll be watching you tomorrow, too.
Thanks for that.
That is our show for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. You can stay caught up on news anytime on our website, cbcnews.ca. We hope you have a great night.